Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border. And then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. They don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Welcome. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. I am the American Anchor Baby. This is my show. Welcome. Thank you for joining me here. It was October 1st, 2021, and a 64-year-old Michigan man was relaxing in his home on his couch, and he had just finished talking with his daughter, who was about to celebrate her 18th birthday. Not too long after, this man, he was doused with a mixture of lye powder and water, a mixture which instantly created an exothermic reaction, leaving him with chemical injuries. He would then be hospitalized for these chemical burns, requiring both legs amputated. He endured multiple infections, a tracheotomy, a kidney dialysis, before coming home on hospice care and dying 3 days later. These are the confirmed details of Konrad Emirowicz's last few months of his life. Information that was gathered by the investigation into his death. So we're going to get into that a little bit here. Happy White History Month. Rocking the White History Month shirt. WhiteHistoryMonth.store. Let me continue here with my little cold open and just continue. 64-year-old Konrad was found in his Groveland Township home, Oakland County, Michigan, by a neighbor later that night. He had suffered extensive injuries requiring skin grafts. At the hospital, Michigan State Police spoke to Mr. Emirowicz about the incident. It was then that officers identified their prime suspect in the investigation. That is Megan J. Emirowicz, Konrad's daughter. Dang. That is their prime suspect. Pictured here is Megan Emirowicz. That's who you're looking at right now. And right here, this is a picture of her dad, Konrad Emirowicz, the man who died in this incident. Okay? So, Konrad's daughter, Megan J. Emirowicz. So the headlines, this is kind of the update on the story. She was facing serious charges, Megan, who had just turned 18 a few days before the October 1st incident. Megan was jailed in anticipation of the whole investigation. After Mr. Emirowicz died as a result of his injuries on March 6th, nearly 5 months after the alleged attack, Oakland County prosecutors upgraded the charges to murder, placing Megan back in jail after being out on bond earlier that month. A Michigan jury found Megan guilty on charges of domestic violence and unlawful possession and use of harmful devices / irritants causing death. So that was a jury, a 14-person Michigan jury of her peers. That was their unanimous verdict that she had caused his death using these irritants, lye and water. Now, the latest update to Megan's case would then be put on hold until July 25th, which passed just a few days ago, when Judge Victoria Valentine was set to sentence Megan. Okay? And so the update to the story, the headline, is that Megan Emairowitz has been released from jail. Released, now free, Megan Emairowitz was met by her sister Morgan and brother Ian shortly after being released from Oakland County Jail, where she had spent the last 17 months incarcerated for the death of her father. Now the jury came down with a pretty serious verdict, but here we have Megan released. And so we're going to get into a couple of details here because I found this quite interesting for a number of reasons. And of course, I'll be taking your calls, 888-775-3773. Her sentence came down from Judge Victoria Valentine, and she was facing a lifetime in prison after the jury convicted her of unlawful possession and use of harmful devices, irritants, causing death. Megan Emairowitz, 19 at this time now, was sentenced Tuesday. This was the sentence that came down from the judge after, about a month, pretty much a month after the initial verdict from the jury. Her sentence was as follows: 1 year in jail with credit for 506 days already served, followed by 5 years probation. And that was the sentence that came down. It's the reason for her release. She'd been given credit, 506 days, so didn't have to spend the year in jail, followed by 5 years probation. And there was stipulations on what the judge wanted from her for this probation to be all good, okay? But before we get to all that, we need to talk a little bit about the Emairowitz household, the home Megan grew up in, Megan J. Emairowitz. Now, the Emairowitz household was not without its issues, its problems, like many households today. Conrad Emairowitz had a drinking problem, according to the family. And it was details like this that both prosecutors and defenders poured over to make sense of the hell in the house and what exactly led to this situation. Why did it go down like this? Now, according to the prosecution, on the day of the assault, Megan Emairowitz had fought with her father. And they alleged that she fought with her father because he was drunk and unable to drive her to a hair salon appointment that morning ahead of her planned 18th birthday party, declaring that Megan Emairowitz willfully threw the lie on her sleeping father, which caused his death. Okay? Now, that's the details, at least some of them, right? Now, how could this happen, right? How did this go down? How did we even get here? How did that family get to this point? How could this happen? Like I said, the Emairowitz household it was not without its share of problems, and details of the brokenness of the family came out. With the mother in a tearful plea describing the brokenness in the family, she's described it as such that the family was already broken before this incident, she describes in her plea to the judge for leniency for her daughter. She says she describes the brokenness in the family before the incident and the brokenness now after. And the details came out through this multiple-day trial and investigation, we find that Megan J. Emairowitz is the name of the accused girl. The mother is named Julie Conrad. And already we're given some information about what happened in the home. She did not share her father's last name, Emairowitz, Julie Conrad. That's the mother of Megan. Megan also was adopted. We come to learn that she was, in fact, the second adopted child in the Emairowitz household. She was brought home to the household when she was just a few days old. She was brought home to an older brother named Austin, who was also adopted. Conrad and Julie Emairowitz, the father and the mother, would go on later to have two biological children named Morgan and Ian before finally divorcing in 2011. Okay? And so we come to understand a little bit more of the brokenness and the rift that was, that was happening in this household, in the family. And we know very well just how the evil begat that broken families beget, and the immeasurable permutations of evil that come about from a broken family down the line, future generations mess, right? So, there was another rift in the family going on as well. I mentioned the brokenness in the family before the incident. And this was described by prosecutors, defenders, witnesses, both sides. They described this brokenness. But there was another rift in the family that was not so easily identifiable that was happening within the members of the family, amongst the members of this family. And this rift came to a head at the trial. Okay? There was one particular moment on the day of Megan's sentencing. Julie Conrad, her mother, made a tearful plea to the judge on the day of her daughter's sentencing. And she expressed numerous things. One was her incredulity of the facts displayed in the case. She didn't quite agree with the prosecution. She pled to the judge to let her daughter stay with her for a number of reasons. And in this plea, she reveals another little rift in the family that was going on with her son, whom we now know is Austin, the oldest and the first adopted, between her son and the other members of her family. Well, we're going to watch this clip here of Julie Conrad and her tearful plea to the judge on the day of Megan's sentencing. Let's watch this.
Your Honor, as with every trial, not everything is brought up in front of the jury. And there's so many complexities to this case, and so much that was not included that, I feel was left out. My children and I, and by my children, I do mean all four of them, we have all suffered. I have lost a son, but he had already planned to leave the family. He had already discussed this with me that summer, that he just wanted to leave and never have contact with the family again. So I knew at some point he could do that. But with also losing Megan, not being able to actually look her straight in the eye or to hug her for the last 17 months. It's a mother's nightmare.
A mother's nightmare, she describes. It is a mother's nightmare to not be able to see her daughter. Anybody relate? Anybody's mother like that? It is her nightmare. The worst thing that could happen to a mother, to not be able to see her daughter and hug her and look her in the eye. And so she describes, like I said, this other rift. She says she has lost a son, although he already planned to leave, she throws in. He already planned to leave the family, doesn't want to see me. So there were clearly issues in the home, okay? Well before any of this came about. And she's also incredulous at the facts. Not agreeing with the facts and the prosecution, but why? It seems like there's a little bit more to the story, and there is, and we're about to. You will be surprised by this little twist if you didn't know this story already. There's a little twist coming up. You following so far, though? Now, about her sentence. Some might say her sentence was lenient. Some might take the mother's side and understand the leniency in the sentencing, and may have a little bit more of an understanding view. Consider the following reactions from some of the involved. For example, Chief Assistant Prosecutor David Williams told the Oakland Press that this was not the sentencing they expected, but ultimately it's up to the judge. Megan, herself admitted she was shocked when she heard the judge's sentence. In fact, she's quoted as saying, "I was praying for a miracle today, and that's what I got." She thought it was so unlikely that she would need to pray for a miracle. It seems both sides on this case were quite surprised with the outcome. And it wasn't quite, it was surprising. People did not expect the judge to go along with this form of sentencing, this leniency in her sentencing. So, 𝒔𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎, she's out, and she was caught by cameras outside, and she gives her first take and first words after this sentencing to the cameras in this next clip here. Let's watch. And there's a little bit of a twist, so let's see if you catch it. It's not that hard to catch, but let's watch this footage here.
Tell me what your reaction was when tell me what you were thinking when she pronounced sentence.
I was shocked. I definitely didn't think that she was going to give me a chance, but I was praying for a miracle today, and that's what I got. I was really happy.
And why do you think you got the miracle?
I think that Judge Valentine is one of those judges that's going to give people chances. I think I got really lucky having her.
So tell me what you were thinking when you were giving your statement.
Honestly, I was just in the moment. I wanted every single word to be heard and felt by everybody. Writing that took months, and at the very last minute I finally found the words. So to be able to get those words out, it meant a lot to me. A lot was riding on them, so.
Did you get any advice from anybody?
Yes. I have a best friend that's in jail, and she was with me through this whole thing, and she helped me with it.
And who is she?
💂
𒒂, the mother of Ian Cumbley? And what advice did she give you?
She just told me to speak with my heart. She helped me write the things out that I didn't know how to put into words.
And what about, you also heard the letter from Austin and your Uncle Thomas. What did you think when they were reading that letter?
I was really angry because some of the things in there that they said about me weren't true at all. And I just wanted to stand up and make those corrections, but I was really hurt that my brother acts like he cares about my dad, but he's the one who hurt him.
The defense didn't offer an alternative theory. So what do you want people to know about that day?
I want them to know that I never threw any chemicals at my dad. I would never intentionally hurt my dad. And everything that was ever said about it were lies that I can't believe were told. And knowing that my dad tried to tell them that it wasn't me, I mean, I feel like in the end, my dad always knew that I was going to come out of this. And that day it didn't happen the way that everyone wants to say it did.
And he protected you right up until the end, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And how does that make you feel?
It makes me know that he loves me.
And how are you going to remember your father, Megan?
He's always going to be my best friend and the reason that I wake up every day. And no matter what, I'm going to live this life for him.
So that was �𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 after her sentencing in front of the cameras, explaining her take and what she's thinking after all this came down, okay? But did you catch that? Did you catch the twist? Yes, Megan actually denies the whole thing. In fact, she has maintained her innocence all throughout the case. Now, you learned in that clip, though, her defense didn't offer her alternative theory to the whole situation. That was not in the court case. It was not presented by the defense and described as, that wasn't her defense. But she still has maintained throughout all this her innocence. And she, in fact, would maintain that all she did was throw bread at her father because she was mad, and that's all she did. She had only thrown bread before she left an unconscious Konrad Emirovitz the day that he received his injuries. She would go on to leave the home and leave behind Konrad to then be found by a neighbor. Okay? So, yeah, Megan actually denies the whole thing. And so, Megan would in fact be arrested in the parking lot of a hotel on the day her father was found injured. And she was at this parking lot of a hotel because she was determined to go to an event to celebrate in the lobby of this hotel to celebrate her birthday. She would go to the hotel despite a call informing her of her father's injuries. The police would report that she would hang up that call out of frustration and would defiantly go anyways. She was then questioned by an officer who arrived to the hotel parking lot where she offers this detail where she threw bread on him and that no one asked her about. In the body cam footage, she offers that detail when nobody had asked about throwing anything. You following? She offered that detail. Anyways, Emirovitz rejected her portrayal as a monster, and she denied throwing the lie at her father and said she had thrown bread. She admitted to lying to cover up, she had lied about trying to cover up his alcoholism. And and she would go on to say that the prosecution is making her look bad and that she was the good girl that took care of her father and that it was her brother that hated him and it was her brother who hated her father, not her, etc. So you following so far? You got the details of the story so far, and you see that she denies it. You now understand why her mother was incredulous at the facts. It seems like she had taken her daughter's side, and and she describes how she was angry that her uncle and brother would testify against her. And that they lied, she would allege, right? Despite the defense not taking up her alternative theory. So you following so far? That's the details of the story, okay? And so let's get to the sentencing here. The judge, Victoria Valentine, I want to play you the clip of her sentencing. And this is where we can get some light, some like a take on this story and what's going on here, some insight. Because I want to show you this clip of this woman judge describing her sentencing, the type of focus on the language this woman uses. And for a little bit more context, this was after Megan Emirovitz had also given her tearful plea to the judge for leniency. She asked the judge to help her realize her goals, among them a college degree, studying marine biology, rehabilitating marine life, and setting up programs that help children with depression. I want to change the world, said Megan Emirovitz. I am asking you to help me accomplish my dreams. I'm not a threat to society, but an asset for the future. Let's watch the judge's sentencing here. Now, I wasn't able to grab the clip. I was already a little late, but I do have the YouTube video here. Let's watch it. I got this clip off of another YouTuber who's like reacting to it. So you'll see some woman in the corner wearing headphones reacting to it, but you can ignore her largely. We're focusing on Megan Emirovitz and Judge Victoria Valentine's sentencing in the whole case here. And again, focus on the language the judge uses and all that. So we'll watch a bit of this. Let's make sure you can hear it. Let's see if you can hear it.
519F.
Great. I think you're receiving audio chat. Let us play this YouTube video here because there's interesting stuff going on here, and I think you'll be interested in the insight here. We got the clip here. Let's play it.
C. Harmful. And with regard to this matter, the court has reviewed the PSI. It has reviewed your compass score and your prior criminal history. The circumstances that you have endured during your adolescent life are somewhat detailed in the PSR. The report indicates physical abuse and attempted sexual assault by a friend of a sibling, which was not addressed by your parents. Your adoptive parents separated when you were 8.5 years old. You endured both physical abuse, and while you indicate that you were raised by both of your parents, the court does recognize that your father was a severe alcoholic. His disease could not make him a fit parent, and he always put you in harm's way. Your childhood was lined with abuse, the inability to grow mentally as a child. Your only criminal history was driving offense that your father was unable to drive you. The PSI indicates that he would pick you up while intoxicated and that you had to quit your job to care for your father. Your father described you as an angel, making it clear that you do not have malice. It is clear that your father's addiction and the denial of his addiction alienated his family. Your parents divorced when you were approximately 8.5 years old. Your younger siblings could not endure visiting your father anymore. Your younger sister testified that the last time that she was at the house, she shared a bathroom with your father, and that there was vomit in the shower, in the sink, and toilet paper all over the bathroom. The first responders could not attend to your father because of the filth inside the house, that it was not fit for habitation. Garbage bagged and unbagged garbage filled the home. The home was infested with visible fleas and bugs, and the PSI describes plastic bags filled with urine near the couch. Your mother testified about human feces around the couch as well. There were several animals in the home and food containers and debris throughout the house. Your father indicated that he set off a bug bomb the day before the incident but failed to vacate the home. Your father's disease clearly created a cloud of deception and denial, according to Conrad's statement to the police, that he consumed a half a bottle of Smirnoff Ice and that he was napping, not intoxicated. This is inconsistent with the medical information of a blood alcohol level of approximately 0.3. Your mother, your younger siblings, and your older brother all left the home, leaving you with the daunting task of caring for your father. The denial of the disease from your father and your brother's belief that your father was not an alcoholic weighed on your shoulders. The mental health that you suffered started to decline when you were 10 years old. You struggled with suicidal idealizations. You've been diagnosed with severe depression, anxiety. You were hospitalized multiple times, most recently around your 16th birthday for a week in Harbor Oaks Hospital. You completed 11th grade and you began your senior year of high school at Brandon High School. Your senior year should be filled with excitement of being a child, celebrating your accomplishments, and completing high school and planning your future. You did not have the luxury of being a child, as you indicated that you had to be an adult in the house. This is a serious crime that you have been found guilty of. The court does not believe that a child your age knew or understood the consequences of throwing the items at your father or the damage that it would cause him. At the time of the incident, you were barely 18 years old. You were 3 days past your birthday. It is clear that your brain is not developed. The United States Supreme Court in Roper v. Simmons, a 2005 case, recognized that juveniles have less culpability and are less deserving of the harshest punishment due to the inherent immaturity and vulnerability. Graham v. Florida, a 2010 United States Supreme Court case, recognizes the difference between juvenile and adults in terms of the capacity for rehabilitation and change. Miller v. Alabama, the 2012 United States Supreme Court case, recognized the unique characteristics of juveniles and their brain development and decision-making processes, and how these factors should be taken into account when determining the culpability and appropriate punishment. There is a recognition of the cognitive and emotional immaturity in juveniles that are inherently less mature than adults in their cognitive and emotional development. The decision-making process may be more impulsive and may be more susceptible to external influences, as the court noted. Juveniles have limited control over impulses as their prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for impulse control and decision-making, continue to develop as adolescents. As a result, juveniles may have limited control over their impulses or actions as compared to adults. The capacity for change and rehabilitation, the courts want to highlight that juveniles possess a greater capacity for change and for rehabilitation compared to adults. And while adults' criminal behavior might be more fixed, juveniles are more likely and amenable to rehabilitation and positive change over time. The court held that the judges must have the discretion to consider the individual circumstances and the characteristics.
So you following so far? A lot of talk about her circumstances and what she went through, okay? And that's pretty much how the rest of the sentencing goes. I already read you the sentence itself about 1 year with 506 days credited, 5 years probation. She does get to that eventually. She's a little long in her sentencing here, but you're following so far. That is the pretty much the sentencing, okay? And so, test. Okay, yes. So here's what's going on. And so right, they bring down the sentence and it goes on. And Megan here in 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 leaves the court with chilling words. She quotes the Bible, quoting Proverbs 12:13. She says, "The evil are ensnared by the transgressions of their lips, but the righteous escape from trouble." Very powerful words there from Megan. So let's take this in. Let's break this down because. Oh, and before we break it down, did you catch that other twist to the story as well? Earlier in the clip where Megan was, describing how she feels after the sentencing, she revealed an interesting little detail because she had a little friend in jail. She had a lady friend in jail. Okay, she had a friend and her name was Jennifer Crumbley. She met Jennifer Crumbley in jail, she revealed in that clip we played earlier. Jennifer Crumbley, if you don't know, is the mother of a Michigan school shooter, Ethan Crumbley. You remember him? 16-year-old, killed 4, injured others. Ethan Crumbley, whose parents were accused and clearly, according to what we're learning, put in jail for their involvement in Ethan Crumbley's access to firearms, okay? Yeah, Ethan Crumbley. You know who I'm talking about, Hake. You've talked about him. His mother was in jail with this Megan 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 girl. And so take this in. Take in the judge's commentary here about abuse, unaddressed sexual assault. The court recognizes your father's disease did not make him a fit parent. Your siblings were abused. Oh my God, the vomit on the floor. It's not fit for habitation, this judge said. The father's disease caused deception. The disease caused this. The bottle, he had a bottle this, he vomited there, the abused this, animals and filth this. Here I am thinking I thought the case was about Megan, because that's the man that died. But okay, the judge is going on and on about the bottle, this and all that. Mental health, her mental health and her inability to think like an adult, despite being an adult at the time of this happening. She did not have the luxury of being a child. She did this as an adult. And that her brain hasn't developed. They said, the judge said, and then she goes on to use liberal media to justify it. Did you guys catch that? She says she uses some liberal media stats indicating that juveniles shouldn't have harsh sentencing, and she goes on and on to do this. Did they do this for Ethan Crumbley, whose mother helped Megan write her tearful plea and all that? Because Ethan Crumbley is doing life. I don't know if you knew that. I wonder. I'm just wondering. Did they do that for Ethan? And you're following me? You guys are following me? I wonder if they had that same mentality for all people, or was this emotion? Because this is the reason I'm talking about this. Because it seems like, no, there aren't people in places of power and important places like being judges and all that in America. There doesn't seem to be people who care about reality. They care about ego and feelings and fake things. And so it's why this whole story is interesting to me. Because I'm not here to say what Megan should be sentenced with and what she deserves. No. But I am here to point out things that shouldn't be motivating the judge, okay? There are certain things that shouldn't be motivating this judge, and I'm left wondering is this justice? Is this reality? Right? Are you guys following me so far? Is the judge thinking with like rational judging mind, or is it mama? Did she see that mother's tearful plea and think, you know what? If she's a mother or if she's not a mother, if I were a mother, I would want my kid with me as well. Is this a stretch? You disagree? 888-775-3773. But this is how I see it. And it's funny how she quoted Proverbs, Megan did. The evil are ensnared by the transgressions of their lips, but the righteous escape from trouble. Referencing her release from jail and all that. But the truth is that it doesn't matter about your physical state, being in jail or not. That's not what Proverbs is saying there. Because evil ensnares your life, and the transgressions of your lip, you speak into reality. When you're angry and hateful, you speak hell into your life. And that doesn't necessarily, and you're already in jail within. You follow me? So, like I said, I'm not, well, let me get to what I want to say here. Like I said, I'm not here to pass that kind of judgment, right? Like what time she should serve and how the law should treat her. I'm here pointing out that people in important positions seem to be preoccupied with ego as opposed to reality. And I'm not saying what the judge should be sentencing her with, but I am saying that the judge and our modern world is concerned with things that are not real. Emotions, motherly desires, feeling bad for people. Okay? And now, and again, I'm not in this case a judge or anything, so I understand that she alleges it wasn't her. That she denies, she denies up until this day that she did not do this. That it was her brother. It was someone else. It was someone else. So, regardless of the truth on that statement, in life, you have to repent to get better. And I know she denies ever doing anything, and I'm not here making a judgment on that, right? It's alleged. Oh, don't get me in trouble. But a jury saw everything that was presented. Evidence heard the stories and unanimously found her guilty. And in life, you have to admit where you're wrong. Now, let's say you didn't throw the lie and all that. You didn't throw the lie and killed her. Okay. But there's people here who are, in this whole case, the mother, Megan herself, there's people here who are responsible for their own anger and their own hate and their own issues that they need to repent for, right? She admits herself being angry at her father. She admits that herself, Megan does. Now, other terms of this ��12 sentence handed down by this Judge Victoria Valentine include intensive probation, consisting of mental health assessment, alcohol drug testing, review in court next January, 6 months. In addition, she has to complete high school, GED, be home each night by 9, and wear an electronic tether. Isn't that an interesting, let's say you're accused and a jury accuses you as guilty for a pretty egregious, serious crime, murder, right? Murder. And your punishment is you got to be home by 9. You got to do your homework, and you better listen to your mom, okay? Because we love you. And I'm not passing judgment on what sentencing, but it seems interesting that someone who's accused of such a crime gets what amounts to, in my opinion, motherly advice, mothering, a little bit more. That's what the judge thinks she needs. She needs mothering. She thinks Megan needs more mothering. She heard Julie Conrad's tearful plea that I won't be able to see my daughter in the eye, and she needs that. And clearly agrees, because she's basically saying you need to do your homework. You know, despite the prosecutor saying she deserves life in prison and all that. You only do a year, which you already did. Now go home and do your homework and listen to your mom. You see what I'm saying? And on this Ethan Crumbley thing. Ethan Crumbley, son of Jennifer Crumbley, school shooter. You might think, Nick, so are you saying Ethan doesn't deserve what he gets? You're missing my point. Alleged apparition that I'm talking to. Being that I'm wondering if there's an equal view on all people that's going on here, because I don't think so. did they tell Ethan, hey, you know what? You just need to be home, get a GED, and fix your life? Because it seems to me like that's so easy to say, that these incel school shooter young males, that they're particularly evil and hateful and misogynistic and this or that. When what Megan did was exactly as bad. It's just as bad. In fact, what the mother did, you know, she describes the rift in the home, divorcing the father. She describes her son, you know, he left the home already. He doesn't want to even see me. I think, maybe I'm stretching it, maybe I'm assuming, maybe I'm evil for doing that, but her anger is tantamount to Megan's murder, is tantamount to Ethan's school shooting. It's the same. Again, law aside, I'm not, just because you have anger doesn't mean you should go to jail the same as someone who did a school shooting. You guys understand that, right? That's just common sense. So that's just kind of what I've been thinking about this. What else? She says, yeah, it's like the judge cares more about the mother's feelings and keeping her daughter around than what's real. Mothers overblow the necessity of a mother. I already compared to Ethan Crumbley and how they overblow their evil to the point, in my opinion, where even the sentencings are different. She killed someone, allegedly. Well, not allegedly. She was guilty of it. Now she alleges otherwise. But anyways. You guys following me here? Anybody disagree? 888-775-3773 if you disagree. Or if you agree, whatever, you can call in. But every step of the way, doesn't it seem like she just had women helping her? Jennifer Crumbley in the jail advised her to make, you know, Megan herself describes how she needed everyone in that room to feel every word heard needed to be felt. And who helped her do that? Jennifer Crumbley, a female judge, this mother taking sides when you have a dead man, the father of your children, taking sides against the uncle and the brother. It's a fight. He said, she said. And she describes, here's another point just to accurately report on this story. In the clip where she was describing how she felt after the sentencing, Megan says that her dad tried to defend her. Okay? That her dad tried to tell them, she says vaguely, that it wasn't her. Which is not quite true, I come to find in the affidavits here and in the investigation, that it wasn't that her dad tried to defend her and said it wasn't her, but that he just simply admitted that he didn't know who exactly it was because he was drunk and unconscious. He was first drunk and then was attacked and was found unconscious. Okay, so he did not see it, was entirely sure who did it. But according to the affidavit, officers, after speaking with him in the hospital, that's when they decided Megan was their prime suspect. So just to be accurate here in the reporting, they don't care about real things here. And they talk about the dad like a dog. And I understand that the situation could have been bad. I was having a conversation with someone. Let me make a note of that so I don't forget. Let me put that aside 1 second. Conversation with someone. But they were saying the dad's a drunk, the dad's this, the dad's that. And could be true, not denying that. And it could be so bad to the point where he shouldn't have the kids around him. That could even be true as well. But I would love a drunk dad. Because they dog dads like this, like he's a drunk, and then they say it's a disease, and then I don't know, in my opinion, the judge goes from, it's a disease, look at these liberal media stats, and then says, well, that's why he's an unfit parent. And in my opinion, a bit of a jump, a bit of honestly, kind of a leap. Now you might think, he's a drunk dad, Nick. He's a drunk dad, come on. But I think you need a little bit more evidence before you say he's not fit for a parent. I'd love a drunk dad. Am I crazy? Maybe because I didn't have one. I didn't have no daddy. But you know what I mean? Like, she says herself that he would call her an angel. That he's an angel. And according according to the affidavits and all that, that he, even after this attack, still called her an angel. I would love to have a drunk dad. What the heck? And she goes and she in her tearful plea, if you watch the thing, the whole thing is her blaming. And again, I don't know. Maybe it's true. Maybe she got wrongly convicted and the 14 people and the evidence, they all got it wrong and she really didn't do it. That being said, when you watch that plea, that whole plea she makes, it's all blaming. It's all blame, blame, blame. And that's evil. You guys keep making lie jokes in the chat. How many more lie jokes can you make? Lie. Haven't we all lied to our parents once or twice, says Imperfect Citizen? Am I making sense or what? What else do I want to say about this? Deadbeat dads, women, every step of the way, blaming, Ethan Crumley connection. I'd love a drunk dad. What else would I want to say about this? What else? What else did I felt like I had something last thing here to say. I think that's everything I had to say about it. I think that's everything. Did that make sense, y'all? What do you think? I got TJ, United Kingdom, on the air. What's up, TJ? Thanks for your call.
Hey, Nico. How you doing?
I'm just fine, TJ. I think this is your first time calling my show.
It is.
Nice, TJ.
Privilege.
I've taken your calls multiple times, though.
Yes, you have. It's nice to... Yes, I've spoken to you on the telephone, but not on your program.
Man, thanks for tuning in and thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
No, well, thank you for taking my call. So, I'm everything upside down in the chat, and I was talking about the introduction of mitigation in sentencing.
Okay, what do you mean? What is that?
So, when you commit a crime, so she would have been found guilty previously, and then she would have been sent away to go and speak to a psychologist or whatever, and then a month later she'll come back for sentencing. It's not often you get sentenced on the same day. So mitigation.
That is what happened. She got the jury. So they had the trial. Jury said she was guilty, and then the judge gave the sentencing, which is up to her what it is.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. And it was probably a month later or a couple of months later.
It was.
Okay. So that is done in order for mitigation to happen, and that's all this psychobabble stuff that you've been hearing from the judge. So she will have met with all these psychologists and all this kind of stuff.
Gotcha. I'm following. Yeah, that's how that's how the judge got that info.
Yeah, exactly.
About her upbringing and all the trouble.
The judge wouldn't have known most of that, except for occasionally it would have been possibly brought up in the trial, but probably not. It's actually probably had nothing to do with the trial.
Fair enough.
The trial would just be like, did this crime happen? This is the evidence. That's not the evidence. And then it goes to mitigation. Sorry.
And if you have something you want to say, don't forget. But on that, isn't that how a case should be? Am I ignorant in saying that? Like, shouldn't the case be about, okay, yeah, there is all this mess happening that happened before and the family's messed up, but we're talking about this 18-year-old who killed a man.
I think you're playing devil's advocate here, Nick, which I appreciate. You're being a good host.
Go ahead.
But no, I can 100% tell that this is a sort of I was trying to look up quickly when it was introduced. It seems to have sort of come in about the 90s, which I guess was when probably females started to take over criminology and psychology, etc. So it relates a lot to females not wanting to take responsibility for their actions. You know, accountability in females are almost completely polars. They almost never happen.
Wow.
So it would have been the case that, you know, when women were being sentenced and stuff, they would have, you know, said, but all these things happened to me, etc. So it appears that mitigation, from the very brief search I've done now, appears to have sort of taken off in the 90s.
Wow.
So previously a judge would have just, you've done the crime, this is the sentencing guideline. I couldn't care less if you were, you know, whatever that psychobabble was.
Right.
Because also a lot of that psychobabble is also never tested.
Yeah, it's all fugazi. It's all not of this material plane.
Well, yeah, and you can say anything, right? Like she could say all those things, and there'd be no evidence.
I see
one
what
way
you're
or
saying
the
by
other.
proven now. Yes, those are all just statements she's alleging.
Yeah.
To a psychologist.
So it's 100% female. It's like the
Dang.
It's
It really is female. Man, you're adding to what I've been suspecting here, and I think you're right, man. It's pure female. It doesn't quite. I don't think justice is happening here.
Yeah.
At least not a real look at what's happening, like how the justice system should be. What is it? A blind lady with scales? No.
Yeah, and a sword or something as well.
Right. Instead, we got a lady in a pantsuit with her, with an internal tear.
Or she's looking towards all the women, because it's all about accountability. Because what this has done is taken accountability away from this person. So the child, well, it's not a child, the adult, the young adult, doesn't have to take any accountability. It all puts blame on everything else and takes away accountability. It's almost the summary of women, and it's all the way through the criminal system now.
That's fascinating, man. Thank you for that. It really is the female future. It's already here.
Oh,
it's totally crazy.
Yeah. And what's the results of that? We can see around us. Yeah. But I won't hog your show. I'm delighted you answered the phone. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you for your call, TJ. Call me again. Appreciate that.
Yeah, all the best, man.
Right on. Moving the wheels. Man, that's crazy. It's like, should you see a female judge, a female lawyer? It's at this is where it's at this point. We've lost all sense of reality and caring about real things and merit and all that we can't even have the what's it called? The exception to the rule, right? Like normally you would want to judge female, but maybe this one's got it and she is there by merit and all that. But our society and our prevailing culture doesn't care about real stuff. It's all ego. And so now we can't even trust the exception to the rule. If you got a female judge, a female lawyer, get a change. Change things up. Like it's not going to work. Female lawyer, a female cop arrests you, you might die. Sorry. Even if you've complied, hands up, you might die. Sam Hyde. Shout out to Sam Hyde. But yeah, you might die. So we can't even have the exception to the rule. So any what's it called? Out of the, above average ladies out there. Well, now we can't even trust you because there are above average ladies, right? Can we say that? We can say that there's some above average ladies who can handle certain things that usually it's a man. Maybe not so much, but we can't even have that. So by exception to the rule, better ladies, we can't trust them. So go get pregnant. In the right way. Go be a mother. It's a beautiful thing. It's probably one of the best things you could do. And I don't admonish that even a little bit. But yeah, it's crazy. You following me here? Amazing. So thanks for tuning in on that story there. I had to do the top. I had to do the breakdown from the top here and really go in there. Hopefully I did the whole thing. Did I say everything I wanted to say about this? That's it, fellas, viewers. That's it. What else? That's pretty much it on that. And that's kind of all I had prepared. Because I was like, just in it, trying to get all the details. Once I kind of just learned about the story. And I had to get you guys the report here. And so now I'm left without a show. That's pretty much everything. Wait, let me scroll up on my packet here. Maybe I got some stuff from the other day that we can get into. Oh, what else? spike proteins in the I have like a little hake in an imaginary hake in my shoulder due to the word I'm about to say. Spike proteins in the testes? Apparently. Shout out to the purebloods. Do we have any purebloods in the chat? Shout out purebloods. Hey, if you're not a pureblood, don't feel so bad. It's not, I think if you're in the chat and you're not a pureblood, meaning you haven't taken the �💑💄💄, you might feel a little bad, like, what the heck is happening to me? What did they put inside of me? From what I can tell in my little homework, my little research, most people were fine. Most people are fine. Like, without any of that myocarditis. So, even though I reported yesterday, the military, you guys hear this? The military reporting a sudden increase, like a very significant increase in myocarditis. You know what I'm saying? And the military saying that, they don't. But anyways, I had something here. It was a clip I came across about spike proteins in the testes. What the? Dr. 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎. Sorry, guys. You guys can check out this video on your own. I'm not that interested because I don't even know who this Dr. 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒄𝒏𝒂𝒍𝒔 is. And I can't confirm what he's saying here. He's saying, if I was a woman in fertile age, I would not plan motherhood from a man who was vaccinated. But I don't know. I don't know who this guy is. Honestly, it's just a clip I saw. I'm scrolling up on my show here, kind of scrambling, kind of pick topics here because I had the whole thing set up for, Megan and the Amirowitz family, and kind of have no show now. I'm sure I have some clips here. Come on, man. Oh, Drake. I know Hake played the Drake clip. I had that planned too. That was good. Hake played this clip of Drake, and he had his mom at the concert. Very funny. There was this other clip of Drake where he's doing an interview from like a bed. You guys seen this? With I believe it's a girl named Bobby Althoff, okay? And he's doing this interview. It's like a very calm, like it's supposed to be like a chill interview from the bed. Kind of reminds me of a show. Didn't Joan Rivers do a similar thing? Where she interviewed people from her bed? In Bed with Joan. Yeah, Joan Rivers had a similar thing. I believe she's dead. Well, Hake played that clip where Drake had his mama at the concert. And again, this is a big super successful, biggest name in the industry. Ladies love him. Just like legend beyond legend, right? And I'm sure some of that's true. And I don't think I can even play this interview. I think I'll get copyright something. But you guys see, anybody in the chat seen this? He's so awkward. He's so weird. He's like me. He's as cool as me. Drake is Drake, multi-million, billion, who cares? I don't know how much money. Killing it in the game, got plenty of women, goes to the clubs, is loved by all. Is kind of as cool as the Anchor Baby. And I'm not saying that's very cool. Yeah, I'm being straight up. Play it again, Nick. Okay, let's watch this. It's silly. Drake serenades Sandy Graham. We love our mothers, right? He serenades his mother, embraces and serenades his lovely mother at Madison Square Garden. Like, isn't he supposed to be like he's always had Drake? He's had a lot of he's had a lot of what's it called? Allegations against him that he's kind of soft. That's kind of the vibe, right? The other rappers and the people who like other rappers as opposed to Drake, they'll say, yeah, at least the guy I like, the rapper I'm into, he's hard, he's tough, not like soft Drake. So that's kind of like what's it called? That's the impression he's been trying to get away from and distance himself from. At least what I thought. I don't really follow these people, but it seems like lately he put out, he's had that lover boy status. He's calling himself the lover boy. He puts that heart in his hair. He put out that album where he's like the lover boy or whatever. So I guess he's leaning into the the allegations that he's soft, in my opinion, because this isn't helping the allegations, Drake. Well, he might be leaning into it, and you know what? It might be kind of a genius move. The future is female, and this is Satan's world. And if you want to be successful, right? Am I right? The algorithm, aka the audience, they like certain things. They like what they like. They like what they like. Let's see if I can play this beautiful footage. Oh, there's no sound to this? Hold on. I want to play this. It's silly. That's his mama. I don't think you'll catch me doing that. What the heck? Drake, mother, concert. Drake and his mama. Not your mama. Drake makes his mom cry while performing. Where's the video? I'm trying to play the video, which Daily Mail had for me here. Come on, Daily Mail. Don't do me like this, Daily Mail. How you gonna do me like that? I need ad block. I need ad block or something. I need ad block. Oh, I muted the tab. That's how you can't hear it.
Faire les mauvais choix.
Okay, let's watch this. That boy's soft. What's funny is that she's like bobbing her head and all that. And I've seen some people say like, oh, she doesn't even know this song and she's bobbing her head. You know what I'd say? I would venture to say that she actually knows like every song. That's my baby. That's how moms are. Like, I would venture to say that she probably actually does know that song. And she knows every song. Because that's my baby. She's like bobbing her head. Some of you think she doesn't even know what she's bobbing her head to, but I would say, like a mother. I bet your mom, I shouldn't say this. I bet my mom watches every episode. I know she comments on some stuff sometimes. I'm like, Ma, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about, Ma. Sit down. No, I'm joking. Okay, Drake and the rap world, it's soft. I mean, what's the rap hip-hop world? They haven't had a chart-topping album of 2023 until Lil Uzi Vert, who I know some of his music, released Pink Tape. And Pink Tape, which is hip-hop's 2023 album, really the only one that's kind of chart-topping and make it like an actual full project, I mean, not a single, is Pink Tape by Lil Uzi Vert. And one of the tracks in Pink Tape, it's Lil Uzi samples, I think it's Lil Boosie, who's another rapper, a Louisiana-born rapper. He's a little older, more old school, does not like the gay thing at all. And Lil Uzi samples Lil Boosie saying, yeah, Lil Uzi, I don't recognize no Lil Uzi song. And I think he one of those, I forget what he says, but like one of those fruity people wearing dresses and stuff. And you ain't never gonna catch me. And so Lil Uzi in the song is basically both revealing that he's fine with people calling him that. He's talked about pronouns and stuff. So this is your hip hop album of the year, a transgender album. Some of those tracks are really good though. I gotta say, Satan makes great music. What can I say, right? He's the king of music. So that's your little hip hop. That's what's going on in the hip hop world. If you didn't know, the Pink Tape. They called it Pink Tape of all things. What else do I got here? Let me scroll up here. Other links I never got to. Oh yeah, there was this teacher in Canada who committed suicide over being called racist. Let me plow through this story because I never got to it. Let me plow through this and one more thing here, and then I'll end the show even if it's early. Like I said, I pretty much put all my time into that Megan story. I hope you enjoyed that. If you guys call in, I'll get your calls too, 888-775-3773. But this white Toronto school principal, Richard 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎, dies by suicide after he was accused of backing white supremacy for complaining about black instructor during anti-racism training. It's White History Month. And, you know, I'll tell you right off the bat, what's crazy about this story is that he committed suicide. Yeah, we're going to get into some of the details and what they called him. This instructor named 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎, very Canadian name, who started this racism claims against him. But the world is crazy and the world hates white people, and you can't say it's White History Month without getting looked at weird. I can't go outside wearing this shirt, although I love doing it. I love it. It's funny, I was wearing this shirt, the July Just Feels White shirt. You can buy your own whitehistorymonth.store. I was out in the street wearing this. I kind of like it. Maybe I'm a little messy, but I love saying it to people. And I noticed it was a woman, a young lady, a young black lady. I was walking past her when I noticed she had her phone pointing at me in an interesting way. And I realized that she was recording me. Probably because of the shirt I was wearing. Hopefully I go viral. Hopefully the Anchor Baby goes viral. It is White History Month, and white people, it's crazy. They hate you guys. You can't speak on the truth. You can't say, they call you racist just for being honest. But that doesn't mean you have to kill yourself. And that this Richard 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 would even want to is demonstrates a little bit of what white people are going through. And how anger, it is anger, how anger is being expressed in the whites, okay? And here you are seeing Richard 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 right here. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. 60 years old, 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔. And I do see your calls. Don't hang up. I'm about to get to you. Appreciate you holding. 888-775-3773. You're not seeing Richard on the screen right now. Let me just throw him up on the screen here. You're seeing Richard on the screen, and this school principal died by suicide. Has died by suicide, according to Daily Mail. He killed himself. He murdered himself. And he believed Satan and murdered himself. He had been serving as a fill-in principal at the Burnhamthorpe Collegiate Institute in 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒄𝒃. Shout out 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒃. I definitely remember messing around in 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒃. He filed a lawsuit earlier in the year claiming his reputation was systematically demolished, and he was labeled a white supremacist for his remarks questioning racism in Canada. But on July 13th, his lawyer, Lisa Bildy, woman lawyer, that's not important, let's move on, announced on Twitter that Richard took his own life. Unfortunately, the stress and effects of these incidents continued to plague Richard. Last week, he succumbed to this distress. His family and friends have been left feeling and wishing they could have had the chance to convince him that he was loved. 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒑 problem started April 26, 2021, when Toronto School District Board educators attended an anti-racism training led by �𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, the founder of the Kojo Institute, a consulting firm. This is a story we've heard. Schools, companies hiring these firms to teach their employees about racism, sometimes either because the company is off the deep end like that, or they're just, they got to follow some dumb diversity quota and they're just keeping appearances in face. In his lawsuit, the Toronto Star reported that Richard claimed 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒑 told educators that Canada could be considered more racist than the U.S. because it never reckoned with its anti-black history. And what do they mean when they say reckon with your anti-black history? Meaning justify anger, say that it was bad, and tell people Black Lives Matter, and that they're right for being angry, and that they deserve reparations. That's what reckoning with black history means. The principal, who had previously taught high school in Buffalo, New York, disagreed with the sentiment. He said it would be an incredible disservice to our learners to suggest that the United States is a more just country than Canada, and he claims that 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒑 reacted to that statement with vitriol. She allegedly lashed out at the principal for appearing to undermine a black woman. How dare you undermine a black woman? This is �𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔 on your screen right now, the black woman he undermined. We are here to talk about anti-black racism, but you, in your whiteness, think that you can tell me what's really going on, 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒄𝒃 allegedly said. The lawsuit added 𒒏💊💄💌 tried to de-escalate the situation, admitting that there was racism in Canada. And this is how it always goes. This is why you can't apologize and be weak when these people got you on the ropes like this. They're just going to murder you, figuratively speaking. And so this came to a head in the aftermath. 𒒏💊💄💌 suffered workplace bullying, which caused severe emotional distress. He filed a mental stress injury. The board investigated his claims and found Thompson's conduct was abusive. So the board even found that this black woman was abusive and egregious and vexatious, and it rose to the level of workplace harassment. So they even took his side. But following his 6-week medical leave, the Toronto School District refused to reinstate 𒒏💊💄💌. He alleges this was a result of his tarnished reputation. Finally, it comes to the head here with him taking his life due to everything that happened. And so now you know the story, but the point here is that, yeah, she's evil and the world is evil and they hate whites, and this freaking black woman is in this psycho is allowed to behave in this hateful way and is justified in the prevailing culture. But despite all that, this should tell white people need to stop caring about what people think. I love something Jesse said the other day, that you can't argue with their framework. And that's what he did. He argued with their framework. He said, he agreed with her, said, okay, well, it's somewhat racist. No, stop caring about their framework. Let them call you racist. Let them call you this, but you stick to the truth. It's not racism. It's anger. It's not white people are not, it's not the problem of why black people aren't doing so well and all that. You stick to the truth and let them call you racist, but you can't go along with their framework. Richard did that. He said, well, you're right. It is a little racist. You have to ignore all that. And you can't go killing yourself because the world hates you. That's how the world hates you already. You're just in that moment, Richard, the world just revealed what they already had inside to you. So white people gotta go overcome that big time. And that is a little bit of how anger is being expressed in white people today. Hope you understood my story there. Rusty, Montana, I got you on the air. Thanks for holding. Appreciate your call. Go ahead.
Hey, what up, man? How's it going, man?
It's going fine, Rusty. Appreciate your call.
Hey, so this topic of Lil Uzi actually really fascinates me. I'm a big music guy. I produce a little bit of my own. I was in Hollywood at the LA Film School. I'm sure you've seen it. So Uzi, I find very interesting, and I think that most of his moves, his weird little marketing moves, are just that, marketing.
Okay.
And so, did you know what his supposed transgender name is?
No.
It is Leslie Chow. Do you know what that is from?
No, I don't. I didn't know he had a transgender name.
It's from The Hangover. It's from The Hangover. It's the little Asian guy in The Hangover, Leslie Chow.
He's always has been like funny like that. Go on, my apologies.
Yeah. No, you're good. And so I think that it's just trolling the whole way through on his part. I think that he himself
that might be fair.
Doesn't really mean it. But I think that his producers, the people above him telling him what to do, they do mean it. Because other things that Uzi's done, he said that he was a pescatarian. He said that he was a celibate for 2 years before he put out the Baby Pluto album. And so I think that he is basically capping, and I think that he thinks it's funny, but his producers want him to put out that message. Does that make sense?
Interesting. That does make a lot of sense, Rusty. That's that's actually interesting, and I think fair. And points to, it can point away from what Lil Uzi really thinks, but points more to what the world and the public at large are either, both parts being brainwashed into / they actually like, which is why this is so popular.
Yeah, it's definitely popular. I mean, in his case, they're just playing to the masses, right? Like the Starseed phenomenon. Like, I love that song, Baby Pluto, off that one album, but the rest of the album, it's purposely doing like this UFO cult thing. Like, it's a Starseed vibe. It's be celibate. Don't eat meat. Like, it's just a pitch.
I caught that wave a little bit too. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So that's what I see with Uzi, and I would dare say that Uzi probably is lying, but I think that he does it in a funny way where in his mind it's just comedy.
Fair enough.
I think that he is a pretty skilled pop artist. You know,
I think so too, and I like Pink Tape. So far,
a few tracks from it.
So far, I like it and how it's put together.
It's pretty decent. Like, it's interesting how he keeps doing that like growl thing. It's a little annoying, to be honest with you, but the rest of I do like the production. Quite a bit. You know, it's an interesting album. But he's been like that kind of the whole time.
Was that Lil Boosie in one of those tracks? It's talking about him being in a dress and all that. It sounded like Lil Boosie.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Boosie would be the one that would have been talking against it, because unlike Uzi, Boosie kind of just says what he wants. He's never had these like big name producers. So Boosie keeps it real, and then Uzi is in a role. I mean, he's been anointed by the producers to this role. And what do we know about Uzi? You know what I mean? He's this little extremely short black man. Like, what do we know about his past? Nothing. We don't know anything about him.
I don't.
Nothing. I don't either. And I've looked at it pretty, so I don't know. That's really all I had to say is, like, we don't know what's going on with this guy, but I would not take anything Uzi says at face value. And I just listen to his music if it's a bop. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
No, I've always been like that with music. A bop is a bop. A bop is a bop. But that being said, it really does point to, the industries, what they're focused on and what they care about. If that's what if his producers believe this is what's going to hit, it's emblematic of a couple things here.
Well, and it's not always, they'll make a hit, right? They will literally get together and surgically, precisionally make a hit. But it's about putting what message they want forward and, like, what's going to manipulate the kid's mind. So is it evil? Yeah, to an extent it's evil, but he's not actually like the Antichrist or whatever all his branding is trying to say.
Right.
He's just some dude in the industry, and who knows his origins? He could have been bred in some occult ritual. It's not even that crazy to think about. People do that stuff. But I don't know.
I've never really liked all that anyways, like focusing too much on symbols and satanic this is satanic that. It's like, look, this person's satanic. When the real satanic stuff, let's be honest, happens in your daily life. It's anger. It's your thoughts. You don't need to get to the rituals and horns to get satanic.
Yeah. Amen. I agree with you. But yeah, I'm sure you remember back whenever he came out with his EXO Tour Life, his first hit, and LA had these huge billboards with Uzi on it, with like the Metallica font and just like devil wings on it. They went over the top because, again, he's got the big time producers behind him. So he's an interesting case study to watch.
Fair enough, Rusty. I appreciate that someone was interested. I talk about a bunch of different things, and I like that it caught someone's attention, someone that knows a lot more than I. So I appreciate your call, man.
It's something I love, man. Anyway, man, good show. I'll be listening to it.
Thanks, Rusty. Call me again.
Yeah.
Moving the wheels. What else, y'all? What else? That's it, y'all. That's the show. That's the show, y'all. Let me thank the super chatters here. Much appreciated. The support keeps it going. It's crazy. Supporting me like that. You guys rock. Jabrail with the super chat there. Coming in strong with the super chat. Carver531 says, you got to make crime stories a recurring segment. You like that one, Carver? Much appreciated with the support there. And everybody on Rumble, rumble.com/American Anchor, baby, keeping the party going. I'm all there. Dennis 2020 Base Nation. And of course, the Steve Struck, the one and only Ohio Sentinel. Base Nation, you guys rock. Thanks for keeping the party going over there on Rumble. And all your support during my show, the super chats and everything. Catch me tomorrow we're taking a flight. It's going to be great. You don't want to miss it. Should be a nice show. 4 p.m. for Nick's stream. We're taking a flight. You don't want to miss it. Otherwise, make sure you tune in for tomorrow's Fallen State. Open Line Friday with the boys here. Some replays and whatever. We're going to be guest hosting Jesse's show for Friday. No Jesse, but you got us. Hake Report, as always, the great Hake Report. And Fallen State at 12 and 4 o'clock. Don't miss 4 o'clock. You want to make your flight. Doors close. You want to make sure you make your flight, right? Much appreciated, guys. See you tomorrow. Take care.